I wonder if this is what moviegoers felt the first time they saw the original Star Wars trilogy in movie theaters. This feels like something different, like something we've never seen before, and it's filmed for IMAX. Definitely go see this in IMAX, because it is massive. The movie opens up with Zendaya doing a voiceover while seeing this massive desert filled with spice, and she kind of breaks down the difference between the way her people live and the way the Harkonnens live. It sets a really dramatic tone. I had chills already by the time she finished her speech. Then we jump to a scene where Paul Atreides is sitting with his mother, Lady Jessica, at a really nice looking table, and he asks her to pass him a glass of water, and she says, "No, command me." And I was like, oh, what is this? I've only started reading the book, so I don't know all his abilities yet. He then uses his commanding voice, and all you see is his mouth move, and all you hear and feel is bass rumbling through your chest. And it's just like, and then a moment later you hear a strange altered voice say, "Pass me the glass of water." And then his mother looks possessed. She grabs the glass of water and starts to hand it to him, but then she kind of snaps out of it and is like, "You almost had me." And I was like, what? Oh, wow. Okay. So she's training him to be a leader, but also to use whatever magical ability he has. Then we jump to a scene where Duke Leto, played by Oscar Isaac, who crushes everything he's in. Duke Leto is standing outside in front of the House Atreides army, and they're waiting for another house, another great family or whatever to arrive. These people fly down on a ship, and they come out, and there's a lot of really slow, dramatic glances towards each other. Then Duke Leto says to Gurney, "Don't forget to smile," which you see that part in the trailer. "I am smiling." Then there's just more dramatic glances, and they basically tell him that he has to leave Arrakis, I think is what they're saying. And he signs a contract. Then he says something along the lines of, "House Atreides will never fail to answer the call." And then his army all at once just starts chanting, "Atreides, Atreides, Atreides." And again, chills is what you have at that moment. And that scene just feels so ominous, like something really bad is gonna happen after this. You get that vibe. Then we jump to a scene where Paul Atreides, Duke Leto, Gurney, and then this other woman all are flying across the desert. And she's kind of warning them, like, look, there's worms here and we have to navigate around them and basically make sure they don't eat the harvesters and disrupt everything. And of course, right after she says that, a sandworm appears. You see this massive amount of sand and spice getting kicked up across the desert, and you can see it's coming closer. And so she sends out a call, and this giant machine comes flying over to pick up the harvester machine, which is on the ground harvesting spice. And this other machine lands on it to help extract the people, and something malfunctions, and they're stuck on the ground. And they're desperately calling over the radio for other people, and Duke Leto's like, "Well, can't we just throw them on our ship?" And the lady was like, "No, they won't fit." And he's like, "Well, we're gonna save as many as we can." And he just goes and he lands. And so already you're like, this man is a hero right here. So Paul Atreides and Gurney go running out, and they start grabbing people, saying, "Oh, go inside." Or at least Gurney does. Paul Atreides, as soon as he runs out and touches the sand, he starts getting disoriented and starts feeling all weird, and strange music plays as the worm gets closer. And preceding the scene, Denis Villeneuve had popped in to say, "I really wanted to capture the feeling in this scene of somebody who has been somewhere for the very first time, but they feel like they belong there, and this is where they're meant to be." Then we see Paul Atreides walking around the desert, overwhelmed with some strange feeling. The sandworm gets closer and closer. The sand all around them starts sinking. Gurney grabs Paul and is like pulling him towards the ship, and he's like, "Run!" And they both start running. And then you see the ground start falling in, and then the massive mouth of the worm, you can start seeing the bristles pop up. This is one of the reasons you have to see this in IMAX if you can. It is massive and terrifying, and still kind of looks like an iris, but it doesn't take away from the experience that this is a monster. And it just swallows the harvester and all the sand around it and just consumes it. And again, chills. Then it shows a collection of clips just kind of randomly throughout the movie, one of which is Jason Momoa playing Duncan Idaho going up to Paul Atreides, and he's like, "Hey, looks like you've been putting on a little muscle." And then Paul goes, "Oh, really?" And he's like, "No." And he slaps him on the shoulder, and then he keeps walking. And like little stuff like that, you could tell Jason Momoa and Josh Brolin are going to add a little levity to this very serious and dramatic feeling movie. And not like an inappropriate sort of way where it's like something sad is going to happen and somebody's going to crack a joke. Like, it doesn't feel like that at all. From the bits I've seen, very appropriately placed comic relief. Then we see a discussion between Denis Villeneuve and Hans Zimmer, and Denis basically talks about how he was concerned that Hans might be too busy or not interested, but he reached out to him, and Hans was, not only was he interested, but he was passionately interested. He kind of went all out for this project. He's a fan of the books, and one thing he said I thought was really interesting was that his biggest gripe with Star Wars was that despite all these different worlds and cultures, they all had the same instruments. He was like, they can't just have human musical instruments if we're gonna have this whole universe of cultures, right? So what he did for Dune was he literally invented new instruments to make these strange and new sounds to make the music for Dune. He said that the human voice, that makes sense because there's humans across all these planets, so we're gonna use the human voice. They're singing with the music, but then there's all these other sounds mixed in with it. And just hearing the music so far, you are absolutely getting something you've never heard before, a truly unique sound for Dune. All I know is I'm hyped. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and until next time, later.